welcome to my channel. Well, this one's kind of entitled, or the theme behind this video is don't forget the minis, because most patterns have a mini version, just like this moose right over here. You got a mini moose, and they're basically the same pattern, just shrunk down. This is the Wasp series in VG10. So you see, you lose about, the whole thing is shrunk down a little bit. The width of the blade is a little bit smaller. The length is smaller. The overall, size of the back spring, everything is just a little bit smaller. And, you might think, well, I've got a moose pattern. I don't need it. I don't need another one. I don't need, a smaller one. A big knife will do everything a little knife will do, but a little knife can't do everything a big knife can do. Yeah, well, that's not 100% true. A lot of these sayings or truisms are not completely true. A little knife can do something a big knife can't do, which is fit in your pocket and be on you when you need it. Doesn't matter what you got in your collection or at home or whatever. It's what you got on you when you need a knife. Now, if you're like me, you're retired and you're at home and everything, well, then you've got your entire collection, if you can find it, at your disposal if you need a knife. So it doesn't really matter in that situation. It's whatever you pick up. But you see how that's just a little bit? Overall, everything's just a little bit smaller. And you can go through with all the different patterns. Now, one of the things I did not do was a mini canoe. I only have one, and it's hiding, and I'm not going to play that game. You ever been when you're a kid, some kid will try to introduce a game. Most of the time you go along with it, but sometimes people say, you want to play hide and seek? And after a while, you're like, nah, let's play something else. I just don't really feel like playing hide and seek, And that's what I'm not going to do with the mini canoe. But you've got a regular size canoe. This one's a little bit, small for a canoe, but it's regular size. And then you've got a mini. And a sunfish is just basically a giant canoe. Just a big old canoe. Man, this thing's got some pull on it. But then you got a baby sunfish. Then they have different names for these things. They don't always call it mini. They don't always call it baby. They don't always call it micro. But usually there's a smaller version of just about everything that you are looking for. See? You would think that, like, this blade right here might be a secondary blade on a sunfish, but it's the main blade on this knife. I got a box of trappers lying around somewhere. Again, this is a mini trapper, Case mini trapper. This one happens to be, the Wharncliffe version, but usually it would have a spade blade there and a standard clip blade. Same thing with Sodbusters. But this one is, you can get larger size too. Just like with, this is a small, a baby toothpick, a small toothpick. This you see here is a medium. See, now, here's a little side thing on GECs. I started getting GECs right when people were getting into the craze and hyping up the value, buying them and reselling them and doubling and tripling them on the secondary market, to where you could, this one you could buy. When I got it, you could buy it at a dealer. They had them in stock, and they didn't go out of stock right away because they were fairly expensive, and most people wouldn't go that route, or many people wouldn't go. I don't know. There just wasn't as many GEC collectors when I first started doing it. But right after that stuff started happening where you had to know somebody, you could get into secret handshake and get into forums and talk to people and everything. And I just refuse to do that. You know, I mean, it just got to be. There's plenty of knives out there that want my money that I don't have to jump through hoops for. But same thing with like a Barlow pattern. You know, you can. Here's a little Rough Rider that I modified just to see what would happen if you got rid of the infamous RT, which they eventually got rid of. But I thought maybe you can just grind that down. And in the process on this one, I made it kind of like uniform. This is a great little thumb thing right here. I cut myself on this one on, I think it's a cat food can, man, because sometimes you'll get a cut and it's sharp like a knife and you're like, how did I do that? What was I handling? But you know, when you open up a cat food lid, tin sometimes, I don't know, that metal is sharp. What is it? Is it like a super steel or anything else? No, it's just a cheap piece of metal, you know, like scrap metal, tin, and it can still cut. Now, will it hold an edge forever? No, but it held an edge long enough to cut my skin and raise blood, you know, so much about blade steels. Like I said, but getting back to this, now this is not a true example. This is, yeah, I guess this one isn't, you call it, this one I think is a different kind of shape. Maybe it's the same. One is a hawkbill or both are a hawkbill. Pruners. Anyway, you know, yeah, you got this big old honking thing right here. You can do a lot of pruning, but if you don't have a big lot of pruning to do, you got a little closer up, you can get a little smaller one. This is pretty cool. Little, just a little no name, you know, knife, but very cool little handles on there. You could stick this on your keychain and it'd do a little bit more. All right, so what are we missing? All right, yeah, cotton samplers. Again, you know, I like big blades. I like, you know, I like large blades and everything on stuff. But like I said, it's nice to have something smaller, you know, on you. Junk here. I'm not going to say what I was about to say. The word I was saying that I in the, you know, like splotch. The word I learned in the military, I didn't know the meaning of it when I learned it. I thought it was just a slang word for something, but it's actually a vulgar word for, well, you can figure it out if you figure it out. I think I mentioned the word in a response to somebody on that video. But yeah, you know, just like with lockbacks, you've got small, you know, like this is a little saber. What's his number here? 647. This is one of the ones that was made in China, but saber was made in a lot of different places: Japan, United States, Germany, all over, I think. But here's just like a regular, you know, lockback size. This is the 6 OTW for this cool burl wood here. You got that and that, you know, or like the cowfish. I'm looking for something. And you know, you've got a larger lockback. So there's always a size out there for your needs. And don't forget the minis, because yeah, you might want this for what you're doing, but if you're out in the middle of nowhere and all you've got is a little tiny version of it, well, hey, it's still a lockback. It's a lot smaller, but if it's on you, you can use it. These are also good knives. You don't want to get too elaborate with them, but they're also good loaner knives. You know, if your main knife is this one, you're using it at the factory every day, and people see it, you know, and then they need a knife or something, And rather than bring their own knife or have a knife, they're always come over to you and they want to use your knife. Well, if you give them the knife that you're using, or you've got in your pocket for whatever you need and you loan it out, now you've got to worry. When are they going to bring it back? Are they going to bring it back? Are they going to damage it? You know, all this other stuff. But if you've got a little mini version or something, like, yeah, here you go. And I would make it as cheap as possible if you're running into that situation. You know, like, give them a knife that you are willing to just lose, you know, or if they like it too much, you know, let them have it. And you might get a knife convert, you know. But don't give them every knife. Make them pay for, you know, make them start buying their own knives, but you can give them the first one for free. But, yeah, that's basically all I got on this is, you know, for almost every pattern out there, there's a mini version of it. If those make good, it's always good to have like a backup knife, you know, like if you're in an environment where a huge knife, you know, you whip the sucker out in the post office, you know, to cut some twine. Yeah, it might raise some eyebrows, if not blood pressures. But if you just whip out your little mini, man, you can barely see it in your hand. It's done. It's over with. Nobody thinks you're gonna attack them. I know we shouldn't really worry about the sheeple too much, you know. But to me, it's like if you can avoid a situation, you know, even if it's your right to do something and everything, it's not gonna hurt you to pull out the little knife, you know, and cut something, cut a box open instead of whipping out something bigger. If you know you've got people afraid of stuff, like working here in Texas and stuff before, so knives and other stuff is not unusual, you know, and to see in people's hands. It doesn't mean like they're about to go Ali Akbar on you, you know, and everything. It's just depends on the culture you're in and, you know, what's permissible. There's a lot of little wannabe cops out there, snitches, you know, like, he's got a knife that's illegal. I'm going to tell the boss that he shouldn't do it and maybe they should search him. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of people out there like that they're passive aggressive. They won't confront you directly, but they'll mess with you some other way, you know, indirectly. And yeah, I'm just glad I don't have to work anymore, and I don't have to. You deal with a variety of the human population when you work in factories and stuff like that. But anyway, there you go. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day. Mini Moose. I don't know if they call it that, but that's a funny name, Mini Moose.